on value for money, take 3 girls' haircuts. One for £100, another 25, the other 15. Which one's which? Can even Nicky Clark tell the difference? And Alton Towers, Chessington, Legoland. Which one's best? That's value for money, Monday, 7:30, BBC One.
Tomorrow night on BBC Wales Today.
It's the voyage of a lifetime. We've given up our jobs and we're setting sail for the Falkland Islands via the Atlantic Ocean Islands, Cape Verde, the Brazilian coast and on to Port Stanley.
BBC Wales Today, tomorrow night, 6:30.
Did Damon Hill find the winning formula in today's French Grand Prix? Highlights on BBC Wales on 2 in a moment. Julie Walters and Michael Caine are the class act here in 15 minutes, starring tonight's film comedy Educating Rita. You're watching BBC Wales on 1 at 10 o'clock. The news and sport now with Michael Buerk.
The Bosnian Serb President Radovan Karadzic says he's handed over power to avoid the threat of new international sanctions, but diplomats say it's another trick. A 9-year-old boy has died after saving his family in a fire on Merseyside. And the golden goal that made Germany champions of Europe. Good evening. The Bosnian Serb leader Radovan Karadzic claims he's handed over power to his deputy, faced with the threat of new sanctions from the world community. The announcement has been accepted by the international mediator Carl Bildt. But reports from Bosnia tonight say Karadzic, who's been indicted for war crimes, will retain the title of president and considerable influence. Western diplomats say it could well be another trick to deflect international pressure.
Only 2 days ago, Radovan Karadzic told party workers he would not resign. But today he appeared to do just that, relinquishing his duties as president in this letter to peace negotiators. At first, it was welcomed as a sign he'd bowed to international pressure. Later it emerged the resignation was somewhat limited.
He's still running around in Republika Srpska trying to create mischief, most certainly. And we are going to deal with that. But we've been very keen or very eager to try to squeeze him out of the exercise of public functions. And that is not entirely easy.
Negotiators have reason to worry. The woman taking on Dr. Karadzic's duties, a hardline nationalist like himself, immediately made it clear there'd been only a limited transfer of power.
Dr. Radovan Karadzic.
He'll keep the title of president, she said, and continue as party leader to plan their campaign in forthcoming elections. Bosnia's Muslim prime minister objects to this.
He is now party leader, and he will influence elections. And he can also say that by any day he is taking presidency again.
Local elections were held in the Bosnian city of Mostar today, the first since the war ended and a precursor to the national poll in September. UN negotiators believe the biggest threat to free and fair elections is the continuing presence of Dr. Karadzic. He's wanted for war crimes, and they believe removing him is fundamental to the peace process. Today's developments are a reminder that they can't afford to take anything he does at face value. Margaret Gilmore, BBC News.
The IRA has admitted tonight that it carried out Friday's mortar bomb attack on the British Army base in the German town of Osnabrück. 3 mortar bombs were launched at the base in the organisation's first assault on British troops in mainland Europe for more than 6 years. Nobody was injured in the attack. Here, a 9-year-old boy has died in a fire at his home while trying to save the rest of his family. Merseyside fire officers paid tribute to Sean Evans, saying he'd acted very courageously and his death was a tragedy. Sean's parents, brothers and sister escaped, but he was caught in the flames. The cause of the fire isn't yet known.
9-year-old Sean had been eating breakfast in the lounge with 2 of his brothers and sisters when he discovered the flames in the hallway. He closed the door to the lounge to prevent the fire spreading and then ran upstairs to alert his parents. They managed to escape with another child and then broke a window to rescue the 2 children downstairs. But Sean was trapped by the flames and his body later found by firefighters.
In the end, we had 6 firefighters,
searching for the child, who they eventually found in the front bedroom.
Neighbours had tried to rescue the boy, but could not get through the flames.
All the flames were just roaring out of here, and then they started coming out that way. And then, like, when we went into the kitchen, my other son went to the front door, and the flames were just everywhere.
Sean's family were treated at Arrow Park Hospital in Wirral for smoke inhalation and shock, but later released. They are now being comforted by relatives. Samira Ahmed, BBC News.
4 Britons have died and another is missing after a flash flood in the Gulf state of Oman. They were walking in a remote area known as Snake Gorge, about 100 miles west of the capital, Muscat. Several groups of hikers were in the gorge when the flood swept through. 2 Americans and a Dutch woman were also killed. It's understood that all the Britons involved were expatriate workers in Oman. This week, the Labour Party will publish its draft manifesto on which its leadership wants to fight the general election. The document will then be circulated to all Labour Party members, who will vote on it after the party conference in October. Today, Labour's Social Security spokesman pledged that they wouldn't increase the tax burden on ordinary people in order to get others back to work.
This week sees the culmination of a process began soon after Tony Blair became Labour leader nearly 2 years ago. Publication of The Road to the Manifesto, spelling out his personal vision of the direction he'd like the country to take, setting out his party's platform for the next election. Getting people off welfare and into work or education is a key goal. Labour says its programme will be its toughest ever on public spending, with a golden rule that any spending must be paid for by savings elsewhere. A Labour government would spend about the same as the present Tory government.
We're not going to spend money we don't have, and we're not going to increase the taxation burden on the ordinary people of Britain. That's very clear. But what I do want to do is to make sure that as we help people to get off benefit back into work, and we have a whole raft of proposals